Hi there, folks. Thank you for joining us on ANF Plus here, streaming the first alert forecast just a few moments earlier than we normally do, and also doing it a little bit differently than we normally do. Meteorologist Patrick Pete is here. Patrick, it is a pretty busy evening underway. We had a lull this afternoon, and now we're starting to see new showers and thunderstorms pop up, and that severe risk is starting to increase.
Yeah, we've been watching these thunderstorms really explode across portions of Alabama, and we're seeing that start to move into portions of our viewing area. So right now, we have one active severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to be for the extreme southern part of Troup County. But we're going to be watching to see the National Weather Service redraw that polygon. Right now, we're talking about 60 miles per hour wind gusts embedded in these thunderstorms. There's lots of lightning, and the rain is coming down right now. And on top of that, looks like they're redrawing that polygon right now. So that warning just got extended into portions of central Troup and portions of Meriwether County. We're going to get the timeline there, but once again, 60 miles per hour wind gusts. And whenever this was originally issued, it was issued for hail as well, about a quarter size in diameter. But within the last 10 minutes or so, meteorologist Cutter Morton and myself were dissecting radar, and we were picking up on a hail a little bit larger than that. So not going to be surprised if some areas do pick up on hail that is upwards of an inch, that's upwards than of quarter size hail embedded in this storm, because it has been growing over the course of the last few minutes. And it is moving towards the northeast at around 30 miles per hour, so it looks like it slowed down a little bit, down to 20 miles per hour. So folks that are in LaGrange, this is going to be in your neck of the woods within the next half hour. Unfortunately, we have brought you images of storms that have ravaged this area just this morning, so this is definitely impacting the cleanup.
Yeah, in fact, we have two reporters down there, Yasmina Alston and Asia Wilson, both live in southern Troup County, and they were sending us photos saying, hey, what's going on? Thunder's booming, the clouds are getting dark, and they were sending us some of those photos just a few moments ago, and it looked pretty hairy. They're just looking off to the south as these storms moved in. Meanwhile, a contrast here in the city of Atlanta, we're about 70, maybe 75 miles to the north of where that storm is right now, and it's a nice evening for the moment. You're taking a live look outside from Atlantic Station, looking across the connector back towards Midtown and downtown Atlanta, and it's pretty nice in the city, but very quickly things will go downhill. These storms are moving to the northeast or so, kind of a general northeast motion, as Patrick Pete was just saying, and that warning is in effect until 8:30. So LaGrange up to about central portions of Troup County. That includes West Point, that includes LaGrange proper, does not yet include Heard County, does not yet include anyone at Coweta. It includes like the southwestern, maybe third half or so of Meriwether County, and this is going to be moving off to the north and to the east. Now, if you live in Pike County, you live in Griffin, you live in Fayette County, you live in Coweta County, a heads up, you're probably hearing thunder. Maybe seeing those flashes of lightning, and it's pouring. We have storms right now in Griffin, Patrick. Those storms not yet severe warned, but I would not be surprised if those were the next storms to go, the next storms to be alerted by the National Weather Service.
Yeah, Cutter, not to mention, we had a tornado watch that was extended for a large chunk of Alabama. And we do have a couple of counties, Randolph and Cleburne counties in Alabama, that are part of our viewership. So we want you to know that you're under a tornado watch until 1 o'clock. And we're watching that thunderstorm that's just to the south of Randolph County right now. That's just south of Milltown. This is moving towards the northeast. Now, this cell, Cutter, is the one that we were seeing that had some pretty sizable hail. We were getting some radar estimates of about 3 inches in diameter hail embedded in that cell that is moving towards Cleburne County. Now, it's warm outside, so there's probably going to be a little bit of melting out there, but we are expecting this to still be pretty strong as it moves northward.
Yeah, and we're also watching that cell on the far west end of this flank here, just south of Milltown. That is not in the Atlanta News first viewing areas. We're just kind of outlining that spec that we cover here. But we're going to be watching southern Randolph County near Wedowee and point south. Again, that is south central Randolph County, and maybe southwestern Heard County, southwest of Franklin, top end of the lake there. That storm that's in eastern Alabama between Milltown and Auburn. Patrick, you were talking earlier about how that has been the lead storm of the bunch. Biggest tail, strongest, and just looking at the shape of that storm, and I wish I could draw this. We're having some technical difficulties, but we're starting to get what we call a flying eagle appearance on that cell, and maybe it'll let me draw it out here now, but you almost kind of see this V shape. Thankfully, it's letting me draw that, and that looks like a V. It's pointed to the right. That is a classic radar signature of a storm that is likely producing some very large damaging hail, and we'll put this back in motion. and it's moving off to the north and to the east. So it will impact the southeastern portions of Randolph County and northwest portions of Troup County, and then we're watching into Heard, and if you follow this up 85, that could pose a big problem for the immediate metro as we get into the 9 to 10 o'clock hours this evening.
And it's funny, Cutter, we can zoom out this view a little bit. You can kind of see how these showers and these thunderstorms are kind of moving in a general direction, kind of like a curvature. They're riding what we call a boundary that's moving through the area, and we're watching this boundary very closely because the difference in this boundary, 20 miles north and south, could be a major difference between who we see get some of the stronger storms tonight, because what we are expecting how this type of event is to play out is that the stronger storms are going to be along and south of this boundary. So we do have a Storm Prediction Center outlook, and it's pretty much going with that same guidance, and it's putting the bulk of the risk of this system to our south. But some of our viewers are under a level 2 out of 5 risk for strong storms, and then Metro Atlanta, the bulk of Metro Atlanta, under a level 1. So we're talking about the potential for more large hail tonight, heavy rain, lots of lightning, and damaging wind gusts. But Cutter, we can't rule out another isolated tornado.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the complicated part of this forecast. We have the levels, we assign them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the Storm Prediction Center, and that's a good way to simplify it, but we don't want to oversimplify. Just because a risk is lower doesn't mean it is zero.
Right.
Hail will be more common, damaging wind gusts will be more common, and flooding rainfall will be more common. But all it takes is one tornado, which is like what we had this morning, to upend the lives of West Point folks. And we just don't know exactly who and where could be next. And again, it doesn't mean that you need to be scared. It doesn't mean that your life is going to change tonight or anything like that. But tonight is an extra kind of precarious situation night. We still have some folks without power south of Atlanta after earlier storms. We have some roadways still washed out. We were just getting reports of some flooded roadways.
Like literally within the last hour.
And that's in Troup County before this storm moved in. Now, we do have a question coming in. James Michael Barkis, been watching from Meriwether County, so just adjacent to Troup County, one of the hardest hit spots today, and would like to know if the slight risk will move eastward. We'll pull that back up for you, and again, you are included in that slight risk, but whether you're marginal in the green in Atlanta, you are in the slight risk in LaGrange or in Meriwether County or in Pike County, or if you see that tinge of orange there off to the south and to the southeast, it really doesn't matter as much.
Because this isn't a large spatial area difference we're talking about here. And whenever we're forecasting these complex systems, 20, 30 miles can mean the world of difference between where that greatest risk is going to be. What our purpose today and has been, as we've been first alerting you to this event, but also making today a first alert weather day, is just so that you know that today is a day that you need to be in tune with the weather throughout all day parts, throughout all of your plans, whether that's going to dinner this evening, going to gym, maybe that's going to sleep. You need to be aware of the weather tonight. I know that I sleep with my phone on silent, but if you're in any of these areas that are highlighted with any risk tonight, because this risk does not end tonight, it's going to go into the early morning hours tomorrow. You need to have ways to get alerted to all of our weather, and this is no other better time than to tell you the best way to do that. Yeah,
First Alert Weather app is a good tool. Love the NOAA Weather Radio as well. Just make sure you have your batteries in, because if it's plugged in, you don't have batteries, if the power goes out, which in many cases it does before the most dangerous part of the storm arrives, you will not be alerted. So make sure you have at least one way to receive severe weather alerts, and please have that way work. Have it be feasible to access if the power is out. Now, once you have the app downloaded, again, all you have to do is search First Alert Weather or Atlanta News First in your app or Google Play Store. We also have that QR code and download link live right now at atlantanewsfirst.com. Make sure your location settings are set correctly. Atlanta News First Alerts, if you have that toggled on, those are those video updates from the team now on your screen. Those are the different types of severe alerts that you can turn on. And also make sure your location is set correctly. Even if you have the correct alerts turned on in your settings menu, if it says you're in New York City, but you're in Atlanta, you're not going to get severe weather alerts for Atlanta. You need to make sure that that location is set correctly tonight. What I do in my app, the First Alert Weather app, is just set it to follow me, so that no matter where I am, even if I'm out of the state, it's going to know where I am, and it will know what weather to alert me to. So, Patrick, kind of hit the nail on the head there. Tonight is a night, especially because this is an evening and nighttime thread. It's harder to see these storms. A lot of times, you don't have the privilege of seeing a tornado, and you should never wait to see it before you seek shelter. But it's especially challenging at night when most folks are trying to sleep, especially before Monday morning.
Yeah.
But weather could be dangerous. We're talking big hail and that risk of severe weather tonight into tomorrow morning even.
Yeah, it's already starting to get a little rocky in Troup County where they're getting rain. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect right now there, as well as in Meriwether County, as they're getting rain on top of a cleanup that's trying to go on. This is unfortunately an area that is not unfamiliar just this year with severe weather. They're trying to get out there and do what they do after these type of events. They rally as a community, they get out there and they do the hard work of restoring their lives. And unfortunately, we have weather moving in less than 24 hours after a weather event, bringing some strong winds. We're talking about the potential for there to be 60 miles per hour wind gusts. We're also talking about some heavy rain and at least radar estimates of at least a 1/4 inch in diameter hail.
Yeah, and I was just tracking that and want to make sure we set the scene there for you. Ryan Laird asking about Henry County. No, weather in Henry County, Griffin, McDonough, Pike into Henry County starting to go downhill. I put a tracker for this one severe thunderstorm. And again, there are storms ahead of this, but this is a timeline for currently the only warned severe storms, Troup County, eastern Alabama, south of Roanoke. That storm is moving your way, big hail producer into Meriwether County as well. So this arc, kind of this line of storms, I've tracked it all the way into the south side of the city. And if it holds its current heading, it'll get into East Point, the south side, the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport area. That includes the Camp Creek Parkway area, Forest Park, also to West Midtown, west side of Atlanta, the West End. College Park, those areas before 10 p.m. and possibly producing some big hail. But as I take down this tracker, do please notice there are storms not currently warned in Griffin, but they're heading into Henry County, and we're noticing, Patrick, one of the first clues we look at is
that lightning is starting to fire up around Griffin.
What is the lightning doing? How electrically charged is the storm? And that's one of the indicators, the symptoms, we'll call it, of a severe thunderstorm. We're really starting to notice lightning increase here, and it is going to be moving off to the north and to the east through Pike County, Spalding, and then as we get into Henry County.
Yeah. So that thunderstorm is definitely growing, moving over Griffin. So we're going to have to watch that. Watching them, we're diving into it. There is some very, very broad rotation in that cell right now. We're going to watch to see if that tightens. But with this thunderstorm growing and we're seeing more energy with it, you're definitely going to want to stay dialed in, not as tight as you would get for a tornado warned system, but with the thunderstorm rotating in an area that's been hit already this year as well, we want to make sure that you're at least aware that there is a strong thunderstorm over you that is not warned, but could become severe thunderstorm warned over the course of the next few minutes. Gentleman asking about Pike County. Now, Pike County is just to the east of Meriwether, and what we're seeing there isn't as strong of a wind signature with the rain that's moving into your area right now. That could all change because these thunderstorms are in a very buoyant atmosphere. There's a lot of energy out there. I was looking at the Cape earlier, and this evening, Cape's over 1,000 joules across a large chunk of our area.
So Cape is just energy. It's how much energy do these storms have to work with? And what we're looking at this evening, despite it not being that warm outside, there is plenty of energy for storms to become severe and to become perhaps big hail producing and tornado producing as we go into the evening, the overnight hours. Ryan Laird again saying worried about his daughter in Pike County. I have it zoomed in on that area. Barnesville over to Zebulon, Meansville. You're kind of in between the Griffin storm and the Griffin proper, and you are also in between, or you're just north of that severe storm to your south. So a brief break right now, Ryan, but let her know, shoot her a text, let her know that we do have that severe thunderstorm to the south and west. And more recently, this is now a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Randolph County until 8 o'clock this evening, and I'm going to query this. We're simply going to click on it and let you know what they are warning it for. This is moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. Golf ball sized hail. They're warning for golf ball, but looking at data here in the Weather Center and then outside of the Weather Center here at Atlanta News First, the first alert desk, would not surprise Patrick or I if severe weather was a little bit more intense than currently warned. We would not be surprised if this hail core just to the west of Lafayette was producing hail possibly up to about the size of tennis balls. And we'll put a tracker on this. This is tracking towards Roanoke, moving off to the north and east at about 35 miles an hour. So Foster Crossroad, 710. Again, this is in Alabama, and these times are central. These times are in central time, so don't be confused if you're east of the state line. These are in central Alabama time, central time zone. Milltown, 720. Clarkville, 725. Roanoke proper into the county seat of Randolph County. Roanoke, 736. Rock Mill, 745. Dangerously large hail. You have some time, though. If you're in Randolph County, South Central Randolph County, if you're in Roanoke, if you're in Weedleweed, now is the time to move the car in, move it on into your garage. If you have thick comforter, you don't have a carport, you don't have a garage, before the lightning gets there, now's the time to cover the car if you live in South Central Randolph County. Starting to get some more questions about specific locations. Ryan Laird, Williamson, Donna McClenzy Stokes asking about western Coweta County. So let's take you back to the east again. We'll let you find your spot on the map. Whether you live in Williamson, Ryan, or you live in the western part of Coweta County, it is these storms right here south of the city of Atlanta that are moving to the north and east. In fact, I'll put a tracker on this once again, and we're going to track it all the way to Peachtree City into and through Coweta County. Peachtree City, 9 p.m. Fayetteville, 9:14. You can assume about the same there in Noonan. These storms packing a punch this evening, Patrick.
Yeah, so we're talking about within the next hour moving into some of your neighborhoods. So now it's just the time for you to prepare. You know what to do whenever these strong storms roll through. You just want to be inside, stay inside, get away from all windows and doors. And meanwhile, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. But, you know, where I'm from in Louisiana, we kind of always treat severe thunderstorm warnings just like tornado warnings, because winds as strong as 60 miles per hour can really do some serious damage. It can knock down trees. So you're just going to want to stay safe and be inside and monitor this with us. We're going to be here with you every step of the way, tracking these thunderstorms as they move northward. And if we see that this becomes a bigger threat, we're going to cut into programming on Atlanta News First. But for now, you know, you can be with us tracking this in our app. Download that app, and it'll give you that that play-by-play as this is moving through of what we're expecting in your area. Once again, lots of lightning embedded in these thunderstorms, and specifically the storm that is moving towards portions of Randolph County. We've been tracking that cell. It's been producing some pretty large hail for the better part of an hour now, up to 3 inches in diameter at one point.
So that's about the size of baseballs.
Yeah, so this is a very strong thunderstorm that's moving into portions of extreme eastern Alabama, and that's going to eventually push towards the northeast into portions of Heard County, and I wouldn't be surprised if you can get some of the tail end of this in Carroll as well. So everyone that is downwind from these thunderstorms, you want to stay dialed in. We're watching the Griffin storm. There are showers that are moving through other portions of the state. Covington picking up on a little bit of rain. Thomaston picking up on a little bit of rain. We're really dialed in on these thunderstorms that are either growing or the storms that are warned, because that's our goal, is to go where the risk is and the first alert you to that risk before it moves into your neighborhood. If we see trends, now this is a positive trend in a little bit. You know, it's still lots of rain, some heavy rain moving through portions of Griffin, but not as much lightning there. Still some energy out there. We're going to watch it because our atmosphere, not just in Griffin, but all across the region, is pretty buoyant, especially south of the mountains. We're talking Atlanta and points south. So we still have the one. You just took the warnings off.
Yeah, warnings are still active. Just clearing it there for a moment. I just want everyone to know, and what Patrick means by buoyant is that the air will want to freely rise. Those clouds are going to want to grow tall, just because the ingredients that are in place. We don't even have to wait for the cold front to get here. We don't have to wait for that little ripple in the atmosphere to get here. Conditions behind me, it looks like a nice evening downtown and midtown Atlanta, and currently it is. But what you feel, it's the increasing humidity, the mild condition by mid to late March standards. Those ingredients there will allow those clouds to grow very tall very quickly. And that means that storms could go from manageable rain, thunder, lightning, it's normal stuff, to something that's more dangerous and more significant. So I want everyone across North Georgia this evening, whether a severe thunderstorm or a thunderstorm is warned or not, whether you get an alert on your phone or not, treat every thunderstorm this evening as if it were severe, as if it were going to produce large hail and the possibility of an isolated tornado, because very, very quickly we could see these things change, and we're watching these cells. The problem with tonight is that we're going to have multiple rounds of thunderstorms moving through. We have a storm near Griffin. We have a storm about to move into Randolph County. We have another cluster of storms moving through portions of Meriwether and Troup counties, and then more storms in east central Alabama near Alexander City And let's zoom out here because the setup is favorable for what could be scattered storms initially, and then maybe a line or two of severe thunderstorms moving in. This line means business.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a widespread, damaging wind producing, large hail producing line of storms. And you were talking about that front earlier. We're just going to kind of, hopefully, this simplifies it enough for you. And I'm going to try to draw this front here again. Our data, our weather computer misbehaving just a little bit this evening. But we're going to draw this out. And you'll notice, as I flip the direction here, you'll notice that this line of thunderstorms, just pretend like that front is a highway. You have this line of storms forming along it across eastern Mississippi and western Alabama and moving to the north and east. And these storms are going to move along that boundary. So wherever it resides, it's like a car on a highway. It will use that lane, in this case the express lane, and it's going to book it off to the east-northeast, perhaps northeast into middle Georgia. And it does look like North Georgia, but especially areas south of I-20. And what we haven't said, Patrick, at least not yet, what we haven't really touched on as much, is that if you live in the mountains, if you live in Blue Ridge, if you live in Rabun County, if you live in Towns County, White County, Lumpkin County, Dahlonega area, if you live in Ivy Log, Young Harris, these higher elevation communities, rain tonight, thunder tonight, could be some brief downpours, but your risk of severe weather is very, very low. As you get into the north suburbs, that risk starts to increase, and then especially in Atlanta, point south side of town, that is where the risk of severe weather is greatest, and that's what we're going to be watching here evolve over the next few hours. But we just got an alert on the Atlanta News First Alert weather app, the orange icon you see top hand portion of your screen. We sent out an alert a few moments ago in the app saying that additional watches, warnings were expected, and it does look like we just had a new severe thunderstorm watch issued. For much of metro Atlanta. That does include the city of Atlanta. And again, working to get the graphics behaving here, but it looks like you do have some more information there, Patrick.
Yeah, so basically this severe thunderstorm watch has been issued. It looks like it's, well, actually, you know what? That's not quite what I needed. Severe thunderstorm watch. Looking for that message here. I don't have it.
Yeah, so severe thunderstorm watch just issued, and this could be upgraded to a tornado watch. We could see these details change and evolve through the evening. That is weather for you. We know that conditions are favorable for severe weather. It includes Barrow County, Butts County, Carroll, Chattahoochee County, Clayton County, Cobb, Coweta, Crawford, DeKalb, Douglas Fayette, Fulton, Gwinnett, Harrelson, Harris, Heard, Henry, Jasper, Lamar, Marion, Meriwether, Monroe, Muskogee, Newton, Paulding, Pike, Rockdale, Spalding, Talbot, Taylor, Troop, Upson, and Walton. So really, Metro Atlanta, including the North Side Cobb folks and Gwinnett folks. So all of the Metro and point south. It may not include the mountain communities. It does not look like this watch does. And that's not that surprising. We were just saying that it looks like the risk of severe weather is mainly south of the mountains. And we're going to change this graphic for you. We're going to switch around some of the variables so that we can get that alert plotted.
But essentially, that watch zone cutter is areas that are along that boundary and to the south that you just drew on that map. So essentially, that's where we're expecting these pulses of energy to move through our area as we head through the overnight. That's where that greatest risk for severe weather is going to lie. And this is going to be well into the morning. So we're going to be here tonight into the early morning hours. The morning team's going to be here early. We're going to be here working behind the scenes to make sure that you know what you can expect in your neighborhood. We're going to be the first ones to tell you, hey, this is coming. You need to get to your safe spot. And I hope that you all have that plan already. You know, this is the time to have those discussions whenever there is no immediate urgency to move. Have that plan. What is the safest place in your house? You know, I know that a lot of places around here do not have basements, and everyone's asking and they're wanting to know, where should you go? Well, you're going to want to look for that interior room. So, hey, if sirens are going off, if everybody's getting alerts on their phone, have a meeting place in the house, whether that is underneath the stairwell maybe that's inside of the house, an interior closet, away from all exterior windows and doors, out of all the major outer walls of your house. You want to be as far away from that as possible, away from all of the elements.
And we do now have that plotted, the severe thunderstorm watch, and that is going to be off to the south, kind of south central portions of Georgia, not in green, not in red. It's that yellowish shading, including all of metro Atlanta from the west side, I-20 corridor going to Alabama. You do, though, get into Cleburne and Randolph counties, and we have a tornado watch. And I would not be surprised if that watch was extended a little bit further east. Again, hail is the big concern at the moment, but as we were tracking that line of storms moving along the front like a highway, we're going to be watching for the potential of that storm, that line of storms to produce maybe a greater tornadic potential tonight. Hail, wind, greatest threat with these first storms. But as you mentioned, this is an all-night thing. We're going to have at least 2 rounds, maybe a third, with the focus being on heavy rain into the morning commute tomorrow. And it's going to be stormy. And again, First Alert Weather app, it's not about canceling everything you were supposed to do tonight. It's not about sitting close, an inch away from the TV and being worried all night long, but just simply have that plan of action. And if you need suggestions, AtlantaNewsFirst.com just had our severe weather special talking about where you can seek shelter, some of the know-how, the 411 you need to stay safe and to stay secure. And I think that safety and security gives you more confidence in severe weather. If you're from somewhere that doesn't have severe weather, this is pretty par for the course in North Georgia this time of year, and it's good to have the know-how and to know what to do if a warning is issued, where to go. And a good resource is the First Alert Weather app, AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Also, we're not leaving you. Time now is 8:17. We're simply transitioning platforms. We're going to be back on Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, as well as streaming in the app, AtlantaNewsFirst.com, coming up here in just a few minutes. And of course, we will break in at any time if a tornado warning is issued. So keep it safe. Any last words or thoughts, Patrick, before we transition?
Last thing, I know we've been focusing on the severe potential as far as the tornadoes and the hail, but I also want to reiterate the flooding potential, especially to some of our communities south of Atlanta. I know that we got a little bit of rain here in Atlanta, but in comparison to what folks got in places like Meriwether and Troup counties, but some of those, lots of those locations picked up 1 to 3 inches, with some pockets up to 5 inches.
And fell in a short amount of time.
In a very short amount of time, and we're talking about another inch to 2, maybe even some isolated additional 3 inches of rain tonight. That's a lot of water for the grounds to handle.
And we've had reports of flooding. That's a watch, in effect, flash flood and flood conditions possible tonight. That is a flood watch. But in reality, this will happen very quickly. The risk of flooding will develop very quickly as rain falls very quickly and heavily. So flood watch in effect, that carries us through the morning commute tomorrow. Does not include the city of Atlanta, but Clayton, Fayette, Henry, you are included. Coweta, you're included. Rockdale, you are included. So we're going to be watching this as we go into the night. Again, you hit the nail on the head there. We do have that risk of severe weather. In addition, flooding. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Coweta, Heard, Meriwether, and Troup counties as those storms move in from the southwest side. And we'll pop that back up for you right now. And again, storms are continuing to move off to the north and to the east. And they'll pack a punch here. You can see Coweta County, Noonan, Heard County, Randolph County, and eventually Metro Atlanta. These storms are moving in. And we'll be keeping you updated here. Again, shifting threads, shifting platforms, but we're not leaving you. First Alert Meteorologist Patrick, Pete, and I have your full forecast coming up at 9 p.m. We're going to be tag teaming weather. We'll be here in the 10 o'clock hour, 11 o'clock half hour, and we'll be here until that morning handoff at 1:30. So at no moment tonight will you be without the team. Again, keep it locked on Atlanta News First, or if you're on a streaming platform, enjoy your evening. You can stream the Netflix, enjoy the rain, thunder, but make sure you have your alerts turned on and the First Alert Weather app, weather radio if that's your preference, so that you can be alerted if severe weather does approach.
Absolutely.
Again, have a good evening. We'll be on here in about 40 minutes.